Welcome back to WCS America Premier League here on this lovely Monday afternoon. At least for us it is Monday afternoon. If it's evening for you guys already, then enjoy your evening. Hopefully you're having fun with some great StarCraft matches. I think, Nate, so far, when we're 2 hours in the show and we only did 2 best of 3s, it's often a good sign because there have been days where we started our final series of the day now.
Yeah, we've had some really action-packed matches, both so far going the distance. Really impressed by QXC's play that's brought him here to the winner's match. And then, of course, that series between Puck and viOLet, I feel, was too close to call by far for a lot of those games.
It was a good start, and let's see how it's going to continue. TVZ is a matchup that's loved by pretty much every single StarCraft fan out there, and I'm really curious to see how QXC is going to do against viOLet. I must say, Nate, it's been a while since I've casted a whole lot of viOLet games against Terran, that is, because I recently went to the Lone Star Classic Invitational, and I think the only Terran that viOLet played in that tournament was Bomber. He lost against Bomber 3-1. However, that was a third place decider, so the games were not played on the main stage. At least I didn't see them. I'm not sure if the games were streamed at all. I must also say that I felt that Bomber was a lot stronger that tournament than he has been in a while, so I don't think we should look too much into it. And as good as QXC is, he's probably no Bomber either, but it does show that, you know, something might be possible.
Yeah, the Terran versus Zerg has kind of taken an interesting turn recently. There was a patch just put out a day or two ago that gave a little bit more versatility for Terran mid-games when you open up with Hellions for very fast Hellbat switches, which are cool for mech pushes. I've seen some Terran play streaming like Center throw out some just Hellbat bio attacks early on. But what QXC does with this patch is going to take a really big impact into this series. Merry-Go-Round is the first map. And this is a map where I feel like you want to do early damage early on as a Terran.
Yeah, this is the first game that I will cast in this current patch, and I haven't even seen a whole lot of TVZs ever since the patch. I've heard you laughing from the living room since you were like being a dirty Terran and like making a lot of Hellions and transforming them. So I really wonder if we are going to see something of that in these games. And with our first map being played on Merry-Go-Round, a map where I would say Terran mech builds are quite popular. Do you think it's possible? Does QXC have something up his sleeve that is possible right now that wasn't possible before?
I think QXC is going to need something up his sleeve. This is a map where it's very easy to deny Overlord scouting for Terran players because you can't hide them behind the base, but you know, we'll have to find out, guys. We're loaded in for the first map of our winner's match here at the WCS America Premier League Group C. Spawning in the tippity-top right position, we've got the red Zerg player just defeated Puck 2-1. It is viOLet. And viOLet's playing up against our blue Terran player. You could have called it an upset, but he wouldn't. It is Complexity's QXC. Got here defeating Oz 2-1.
Couldn't have said it any better. He wouldn't. QXC is, I think, one of the Americans that maybe people wouldn't even think about it like that, but that has been traveling the most over the last 2-3 years. Of course, Hawk still travels a lot, but other than that, I don't think there is a single North American player out there that goes to as many offline events as QXC. He qualified for so many of the Intel Extreme Masters events. It's just WCS where he hasn't really been able to leave his mark at all. But in general, he travels a lot. Often gets put in like ridiculously tough groups and then still puts up a good fight, but often it's just like almost good enough, but just not really, and then he still falls short. I had some conversation with him about that in the past as well, and he said like, well, you know, people might be like, oh, you don't have to feel bad, you went to this tournament and you were in the group with, let's say, Parting and Hero or something like that. Wasn't actually Parting, it was Hero and someone else. He's like, it doesn't matter if I can't win because, or that it's okay to lose because they're really good, because if I can't beat them, then what am I playing for? He's like, I want to be able to beat those guys. And it's awesome to see that he still has so much fighting spirit left in him, when I feel that some players have just kind of accepted like, oh, I can beat those and I can't beat those. QXC just never gives up and will always try to push himself further.
Yeah, this game we're seeing what already feels like a slightly different opener. So viOLet's opened up with a 15 pool. This, of course, gives him very fast access to Zerglings, but it can also be used as a deterrent to early Reaper openers. You get your Queen out very quickly. You have almost no real risk of losing any drones to or any type of Reaper play. QXC, on the other hand, has gone for a 1 Barracks fast expand, which gives him fast access to Marines. Keep in mind, this Overlord
is going to die.
This Overlord has nowhere to run. It's going to be within range of these Marines no matter where it goes. So this is QXC saying, I know this map. I know you can't hide an Overlord if you decide to go and check my ramp. And because of that, he gets a little bit of an edge. Still needs to be careful in case Zerglings were made, but only 4 Lings for viOLet. If QXC continues to produce Marines, just having 2, even with an SCV, can be enough to stop this many. And he's trying to fly through the window.
Yeah.
It's like one of those like Windex commercials. Overlord's like, no, there's nothing there really. But
Windex commercial.
I feel like the bird flies right into the.
I have never seen that commercial, Nate. It doesn't work. I have no TV at home. I thought you know. Maybe next time I'll get it. I'll YouTube it after the show's done.
All right.
But next time we can laugh together when we cast merry-go-round.
So QXC's taking 2 gas behind this. I think one barracks fast expands were very popular in Wings of Liberty. Zerglings try to deny the SCV building this command center, and
he doesn't get it.
Yeah, very almost. It's kind of like the SCV moving around is a bit random. It's actually like the only real random number generation in StarCraft is where that worker moves. So not being able to get it does kind of suck. His SCV got a good scout in the main base. Seeing that there's no gas is definitely comforting. And QXC's got his factory on the way. So with 2 geysers. One of the cool things about opening like this is you don't have to do anything aggressive. You can still go 3 command centers from this build, but it also gives the option to go to factory, to go starport. He could go Hellbat drops. The world is QXC's oyster at this point. And
he's moving out with his tiny little hit squad as well, perhaps hoping to find another overlord, and he even brought that bunker. In the old days, or that SCV. In the old days, he loved to build an offensive bunker. But these slow Zerglings are actually going to be really annoying. They might even pick up this SCV that's building this factory right now. So for all the things that were going QXC's way early game, even though they were all minor, it's always nice. He's actually taking a little bit of a hit over here, and this definitely stinks.
Yeah, this is one of those certainly frustrating positions to be put in for QXC. The Zerglings trying to block this factory from landing. A bit, I'd say, adventurous of QXC to move those Marines out like that. And that's probably why viOLet built that Spine Crawler at his natural, just in case. He actually still has a large number of Zerglings on the right side. I'd have to imagine that he's hoping QXC will move out again, which still feels like a pretty brave thing for viOLet to do because he doesn't have an Overlord to watch QXC's unit movements outside this ramp.
Yeah, he's sitting on Queens in the Spine Crawler, so I guess he will feel safe at home regardless, but I kind of wonder why he wants to do that as well. I don't think there's anything he can achieve, and 2 Hellions should already be enough to deal with this amount of slow Zerglings, because it's not like they have speed. 8 Zerglings can be very annoying in the worker line, but with Hellions they're popping out every 30 seconds. I think QXC should be more than fine.
Yeah, viOLet, I'm still waiting to see if he decides to move those Zerglings. This is like, so it's a cute little Marine poke with the Hellions, and certainly it's not a bad attack to make, but with the Spine Crawler here and a Queen, I don't think it should be able to do too much. And he's going to get this Overlord. That's a nice pickup.
Yep, here come those slow Zerglings, but there are 2 Hellions that just popped in the main base, so with a little bit of worker micro, these Hellions should be able to clean up all these Zerglings, and this Overlord will fall as well in the middle of the map, so I didn't really, the first attack I thought was really awesome by viOLet, the second one didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. But we'll see where he's going to take this from now on. He's spreading creep already, quite reasonably. He's buying time, he's forcing those units to stay at home at least, so he's getting creep towards down, perhaps a little further than he normally would in this phase in the game.
Yeah, I'm a little interested in what exactly viOLet is trying to do. Like, his Zergling speed is a little bit late. He's starting his Carapace upgrade, so I guess he's going to go for standard Zergling upgrades, but he doesn't have his lair on the way yet. These Hellions with the Banshee could very easily, because of that, deter this 3rd base. He's even keeping the Marines with this force. So I feel like this 3rd should not be able to go up, and
this is quite some damage output.
I think QXC has actually done a really good job of slowing down viOLet with how many Zerglings he's made and those Overlords he's killed.
Yep, here comes that Bench as well. Bench is taking a lot of damage from these Queens, have to be careful, but with these 4 Marines and all of these Hellions and that Banshee...
He could kill them anyway.
Yeah, there should be enough DPS to take down this hatch, and this hatch will get cancelled. The last moment, he immediately rebuilds it.
Oh, he saves the drone. That's actually really nice. I think trying to kill these Queens is not a bad idea, but, they've got those transfuses, and once the Banshee's gone, that's the biggest source of damage. Viking was also built behind this for QXC to hunt for Overlords, but, behind all of this, he's getting Stim Pack together, he's adding on barracks. We're going to see a very heavy Marine-based composition, and not really any use of that patch, which is kind of interesting. QXC is always one of those players that comes off as the creative type when it comes to build orders. He's one of the guys that when I look at, like, QXC would be one of the first players to try to take advantage of any type of buff, especially to those early game pressures, but hopefully everything's okay with viOLet.
So how would you say the state of this game currently is? Is it going okay for QXC? Would you say it's all going according to plan?
I really like QXC's position because not only did he delay the 3rd base, but that lair is so late. Like, the lair is still not done. Like, the game timer is at 9.5 minutes, and it's not like it's the latest lair possible, but of all the standard builds the Zerg can do, you'll have the latest possible Mutalisks. So with Hellions and Marines being alive on the map, there's not really a lot of potential for viOLet to do any pressure to QXC because he didn't build a Roach Warren. And also the upgrades show, like he's got his Carapace upgrade, his first one halfway complete. He hasn't started any melee upgrades, so the Zerglings won't be dealing any extra damage. And QXC with his two upgrades on the way and his third command center just finishing, I think he's doing just fine. He's even on bases. He's going to be slightly ahead on upgrades. And his army composition looks very solid as well. He's going to kill another Overlord with his Viking.
Yeah, that's actually the first one, but he might be able to find this one as well on the right top side of the map. Overall, QXC having a good idea of what is going on. The Spire will go down immediately as soon as the layer finishes up. Banelings are late, and this also means that especially like Baneling speed should be very late. And by the time that the first real fight unfolds on this map, with this reactor right now finishing up on the starport, I think that QXC should be able to fight without Baneling speed. Yeah, and so that could be very good for him.
Yeah, the thing is, as a Terran player, these Hellions, excuse me, actually getting almost surrounded by these Zerglings, should be able to kill at least one of them viOLet. The rest maybe going to get away. He's going to chase as much as he can. I think he thinks he's got an opportunity here. He could potentially kill another one, and he does. So these three Hellions, yeah, they're actually going to get caught.
Oh, that's
nice grab for viOLet. This gives him map control now, and suddenly QXC, when you look to take a third base on such a wide open map like this, it gets a little bit more difficult.
And he won't lose those tumors anymore, which he was losing before. First, Widow Mines are on the production tab as well. That's interesting. I haven't really seen that many Widow Mines lately. Of course, they used to be very popular in this matchup, but in this day and age, I would say that the Widow Mine is a little out of fashion.
Yeah, just the way that Zerg players are able to deal with them. QXC really wants to get this third base planted. He's got actually quite a few SCVs. He is toe-to-toe right now as far as workers go with viOLet. And he's got enough to already pretty much saturate that third base as soon as he moves it down.
Let's say QXC, one of the Terrans that produces most workers, at least like in the foreign scene, just like never stops, always producing workers. Some games actually works against him, how many SCVs he has for a certain phase in the game. But we'll see where this goes. So far, it was going okay for QXC. It's a little bit unfortunate he lost those Hellions, because those Hellions could have been very useful in soaking up a few of these Banelings by the time that the first real fight unfolds. However, other than that, it's still a very even game. We even see a second factory go down already.
Yeah, this is pretty standard so far, I would say. I expect that QXC's mostly built those first early Widow Mines either for just this push or to potentially defend any incoming attack. So right now, QXC's got his Medivacs out. This is a super standard timing. It's a bit slower due to the way that this game started, but the whole goal of this push is to shove this creep as far back as humanly possible. And while this push goes in, Mutalisks are going to hit the natural. There are Marines here for QXC to defend, but he loses a few of his workers. Those Banelings get some of the Marauders, but he manages to save 2 full Medivacs worth of units, so not bad at all.
How many Mutalisks were there in the natural? Because they all died.
He had at least...
Did he just lose 7 Mutalisks in the natural?
That is... Wow, he actually lost all those Mutalisks. That's a huge score for QXC as he continues to push this creep back. The Zerglings and Banelings are here, but he picks up at least 1 Medivacs full. Again, yeah, he has absolutely no mutas. He's rebuilding 5 of them. And this, I couldn't say this game's going any better, really, for QXC.
Yeah, the units lost restep shows us as well 3,800 against 2,000. I was paying attention to the fight on the north side because I want to see what those Banelings were able to achieve, but actually not all that much. And that one Widow Mine got a really juicy connection off, blew up like 5-6 Banelings when all of the bio units were already safely loaded into the medevac. Now the muta count is here, but that's actually not high enough. Like 5 Mutalisks can probably not even fight any bio hit spot from a single medevac. Of course, with Zergling support they can, but without.
8 Marines with Stim can do magical things, Roddy. This medevac, of course, only has 2 in it, though, so he should at least be able to shut this down, which is nice. But there's another big push going towards the right side, and he actually just lifts all of it up into the medevacs. You know, there's no overlords outside the creep range for viOLet to spot any of these attacks coming. And the medevacs in domain, he basically has the choice to say, do I want the lair, the spawning pool, or the Baneling nest? He's going to pick off this lair while he has some units going up front. Maybe the Zerglings will be able to save it and force a liftoff, but he denied a lot of mining in the meantime, and he still has quite a bit of production rolling back home. 15 Marines being produced at a time. And actually, a couple of them stuck at one of these barracks.
I must say props to viOLet for not actually losing more than I thought he was going to. He didn't really lose any drones throughout this entire game. Has only lost 2 workers, very well done, but he did lose mining time for a little bit, and above all, he just doesn't have the map vision, he doesn't have the creep spread, and he's also not being aggressive at all. Once a Zerg player just starts defending, it's often already a bad sign. There are a couple of Widow Mines viOLet, well...
I wonder how much practice viOLet has versus Widow Mines these days, as you mentioned. Not too many Terran players willing to do this. QXC even got the Drilling Claws upgrade. Medevac hits the main base, but you know those Banelings do a reasonable job of holding him at base so that the Mutalisks can come and try to clean the rest of this drop up. Now unloading, and we can see the power of those +2 attack Marines going ham on this force. He's kept a lot of these forces behind these Widow Mines, and I'm also wondering, they actually killed quite a few of those Marines, it seems.
Yeah, viOLet is doing a good job in hanging in there, not dying, but the army supply shows us 115 against 69. That's a really bad sign. That was a fantastic shot. Took out the Muda and also did a lot of splash damage on all of these other Mutalisks.
Yeah, he just picked off quite a few more of those Mutalisks. Scans ahead. QXC needs to move these Marines back. Doesn't really lose too many. The Banelings detonate on the unburrowed Widow Mines. But you know, if you can end a fight with some Marines left over and no Banelings, you are feeling great. And the Widow Mine's not really doing too much this time around. Most of the Marines get picked off. He still has just a few. He's letting that Widow Mine try to get one more money shot.
Good shot, actually, a very good shot. All of these Banelings, and look at the damage on these Mutalisks. viOLet just doesn't really have a lot to work with anymore, and I feel that QXC is only fighting with like half his army. There's still a lot of Marines that are just not marching across the map. I don't think they're really stuck. Like, why would they be stuck?
The thing, yeah, you know,
the ready point is
you make a very good point. The production tab shows all viOLet's trying to do right now is get units. He can't advance his tech. He can't take any additional bases. He has to just defend while QXC gets all this other stuff going for him. And those Widow Mine hits, not too terrible. Zerglings are going to try to counter towards the third base, but there's a bunker with 4 Marines inside to defend. And QXC can afford to just trade away here at this third base.
Yeah, QXC is playing awesome. viOLet taking a couple of questionable engagements, but of course this game wasn't going all that fly for him anymore after losing that first set of Mutalisks. But he's just not splitting the way that you normally see Zerg play with either. The small Zergling attack on the other side of the map didn't really achieve anything, as those 4 Marines in the bunker kept that base safe for now. viOLet has a lot of Zerglings on the production tab at pretty much any given moment, but he has no more larvae to spend. If he crushes this one time, then anything is still possible. QXC also perhaps getting a little nervous. His splits are not what they normally are.
Yeah, I'm not sure he was even looking at that fight. Those Banelings just walked straight into the Marines. But, you know, QXC securing the 4th base. He's kind of saying, I don't really need to win this game with fancy micro and engagements. I'm going to just overrun you with such a superior economy and defensive setup of these Widow Mines that I'll just drown you out eventually. But he has to be very careful because viOLet's force is still quite capable. More of those Marines getting picked up by the
small
Banelings.
hit squad on the left side of the map could be very effective as well. There isn't really anything over here for viOLet other than a few tumors to actually see this coming. Is he going to send units over? Yes, this is going to be Zerglings and Banelings for now, which could be enough. He has to be careful about these Widow Mines. QXC's been stimming a lot over there.
Nice lift up. Those Widow Mines clearing out most of the Zerglings. 8 kills and 5 between the 2 of them. And these Banelings are trying to force out these Widow Mine attacks. He does bait a few of the shots. Banelings and friendly fire are really keeping the offensive Marine count low for QXC as more Spine Crawlers finish.
He has a lot of...
But his 3-3, man, +3 attack just finished.
Okay, you're probably waiting for that as well. So from this point on, you could say that he's going to start trading really efficiently. I'm a little bit worried for QXC that he's spreading himself out too much. He's doing a fantastic job. Okay, this is the real army of QXC. There's no way that viOLet can fight that right now. And there are still some Marines over here on the north side of the map, which could be very annoying. QXC is playing this out very methodical. He's perhaps being a little too careful.
Yeah, it seems so. You know, the thing is, these Widow Mines don't do quite as much for QXC as they do for viOLet, really. This is one of the reasons why we see a lot of Hellbats mixed in these days instead of those mines. But the Marines themselves, now that most of the Banelings are gone, can contest the mute account. But viOLet is getting some really, really good trades. I'd love to see QXC make something in other than Widow Mines.
He's making a few tours. I saw 1 or 2 tours on production map. There are Marines over here on the left side of the map, but they're just not really doing anything. I still love how this game is going for QXC. Let's not forget, he's on 4 bases. He's even getting a 5th base himself. The fights could have perhaps been a little bit better. viOLet's actually up in supply for the first time in a long time.
And good splits from QXC there, though he still has a lot of Marines left over. viOLet's got 5 Banelings right now, 12 more on the way, and that force in the top left is just waiting for a ripe opportunity to go in and deal some damage. And a 5th base even on the way for QXC.
The door gets stuck in as well, and this is a matter of fact. It's going to be a real bumpy ride, but this drop in the main base could actually deal a lot of damage. viOLet, again, completely unaware of it, just now spots it with this Overlord over here on the right side of the map. But this is one hell of a drop.
Yep, inside the main base now. The Zerglings are running up to try to defend this, but those Banelings do not move quite as fast. Lair gets picked off. Sage, he is so far away from getting any additional upgrades, and those mines ravaging the Zergling count. QXC, he's just been playing this about as slow as you really can with bio while still being slightly aggressive. but he's kind of doing everything that he needs to do, just needs to watch how far he extends. Now we're starting to see some better splits from him, and in turn, better engagements.
Yeah, and now he's suddenly up 40-50 supply again as well. That drop in the left top side of the map did get taken care of while that fight was going on in the main base. But in the end, that drop in the main was successful. Taking out the layer means no 3-3 pretty much ever. There's still Widow Mines effective over here as well. You could reposition them and maybe intercept some reinforcements later on. viOLet with his spine crawlers over here. He knows that he needs to keep this base alive. At the same time, we have Mutalisk again just hovering above a lot of Marines. Not a fight that viOLet can afford to take right now.
Oh,
and QXC is poised to take game number 1 right now.
Those +3 Marines, you know, there are no upgrades for these Mutalisks at all. They are killing everything as slowly, and they are dying as quickly as they possibly can. That drop's going to hit the main base as well. That Thor being a bit adventurous on its own. Marines move in, kills an Overlord. Might even be able to grab the spawning pool at this point. I don't think he, could he even just, no, he's going to kill the Zerglings instead. Doesn't really matter what he does with these. QXC is just churning out tons of Marines. It's super impressive that he's had so much additional income compared to viOLet, especially with the mules, and he's still managing to stay broke on minerals.
Yeah, which is impressive in many ways, I guess.
And he's actually ahead on resources lost, like significantly. He is just macroing like a monster right now.
He's throwing down a lot of stuff all over the map, even going up to his 5th base, 6th, no, 5th.
Yeah.
Either way, he's still trading Marines for Banelings. Of course, always a good trade. viOLet is keeping his money low as well, despite being under so much pressure. He's not slacking, but it just doesn't seem like he's catching a break over here. There's no way that he's ever going to get 3-3. I must say, I'm amazed that viOLet just hasn't died yet, because he's been like down 40 army supply in so many opportunities in this game, but he just refuses to die. However, QXC is in such a fantastic position. He's maxed out right now.
Yeah, I feel like these Widow Mines haven't really been what he's needed them to be this game. He's gotten a few solid hits, but the Banelings are definitely getting better trades. The thing is, QXC just has so much more to ram down his throat, and killing Mutalisks. Just Zerglings now fighting the Marines and Thors is not enough. Where are the Banelings? 4 in production, only 4 on the map. This could be where QXC breaks the 4th base of viOLet. Finally, 1 or 2 good splits. The Thor's soaking up a few Baneling shots up front. Is this it? The Banelings coming in, lifts up one of the Thors to move behind the rest of the pack. The Widow Mines not detonating, and now it's just Marines versus Zerglings, baby. And with that 3-3, they are going to steamroll over this base.
Yeah, this hatch is going to fall, and with that, perhaps the hopes of viOLet of winning this game. Now viOLet's money finally spiking up a little bit. Perhaps he was waiting for a big round of lava to pop. If he would have had a few more Banelings, maybe he could have hung in there, but not now. QXC, in his very first appearance ever in WCS America Premier League, is just 1 map win away right now from making it into the round of 16, from making the journey over here to California by defeating 2 Korean players. That would be really impressive.
QXC seriously brought his A game to today's matches so far. You know, the 1 barracks fast expand, I wouldn't have said that I'd expect it on that map. Reaper is still the most popular, and you know, a lot of people would argue the best choice, but QXC has his own way of playing, even if he went for a very standard, kind of almost old schoolish style, just pure Marine Widow Mine. And as awkward as some of those trades seemed, he still held perfect control of that game. Like I said, there were no Overlords on his half of the map for the majority of that map. Like, he killed every single Overlord that came over as soon as it did. So, really great play. Second map's going to be King Sejong Station.
Yeah, it's going to play out a little different. It's going to be harder for QXC to have the same level of map control, I would say, and map vision than on Merry-Go-Round. Merry-Go-Round, of course, a lot smaller, and everything is a little close to each other. I think on King Sejong it's a lot easier to run around in certain paths, and also for viOLet to perhaps put some Overlords in better positions. Bizarre chain of scenarios, though. QXC just 1 map win away. This is the first time he made it into Premier League, and right now just 1 map win away from qualifying to the round of 16. Would be a really big achievement.
I'm sure this would be, you know, QXC would just say it's just 1 stepping stone towards where I'd actually like to be. Even a victory here probably wouldn't satisfy him. And I have to say, he's played so well. When you look at this group on paper, the foreign, you know, the non-Korean that you would expect to get out of this group based on, you know, immediate results in history, Puck's played really well, but now he's in the losers match. QXC's 1 game away. We're counting down into it, guys. This is an opportunity to get our first non-Korean into the round of 16 this season.
Yep, but we're not there just yet. viOLet was down for 1-0 as well in his first series of the day, and he played so much better in game 2 and 3 against Puck than he did in game 1. King Sejong is one of the maps that he already won earlier today, so we're just gonna go ahead and see. Are you expecting Reaper for QXC or Command Center first, maybe?
This map, like the way that viOLet's played so far against Puck, against QXC, the way that he used those early Zerglings, I don't think I'd be surprised if viOLet went for a 15 pool again. So maybe Reaper. I still like Reaper mostly, like myself, Reaper 100% of the time, any map in Terran versus Zerg, just because of the scouting and aggressive potential it gives you if your Zerg player slips up. But we'll have to find out, guys. We're loaded in game number 2. We've got our red Zerg player spawning in the bottom right position. He is 1 game away from being knocked down, but we've seen him come back before. It is viOLet.
And if viOLet would win this map, that also means we'd be 3 for 3 for going to distance in our first 3 series of the day. I think
no 2-0s.
This could be a record day. And like our next series, Puck versus Oz, is also really up in the air. It's going to be sick.
Anything could happen, and I think that's what this guy, he's miracle worker in many instances, I'd say. Some of the older glory days, lots of people remember the GSTL all-kill versus IM when he was on Fnatic, but can he close this series out? Playing on Complexity now, our Terran player, it is QXC.
You know what's funny as well, if you just take down a walk to memory lane, that QXC was even part, I think, of Day 9's Wings of Liberty beta event, you know, or like the release event for the Wings of Liberty beta when Day 9 did like a 6-hour show, I believe. And I know that QXC was on that show. He made multiple appearances. I think he played some games. They did an interview with him as well. Back then, everyone just called him the Bandana Terran. That is really cool to think about, because Wings of Liberty was released in like, well, what was it, like 2010?
Yeah.
April or May or something like that?
July, I believe 27th, 2010.
Okay, so that's like, it's almost 4 years ago, and QXC, someone being part of the release events of this game, 4 years later is still competing, is still trying to make his way to the round of 16 of Premier League. That is really cool as well. You can see that he's an avid member of our community, that's for sure.
Yeah. Any of you guys haven't checked out any of his stuff? QXC puts out like tutorial videos, analysis on patches and whatnot. I'm curious to hear what he would have thought about this patch that was recently put out. If you guys don't know like exactly what it was, if you have an armory now and you have Hellions, you can just transform them straight into Hellbats. You don't need to research transformation servos. The upgrade no longer exists. It gives you a much faster access to Hellbats, which for the most part people are using versus Zerg these days. And I only say this because I know QXC isn't too shy of mech, but there was a period of time where he did it quite a bit. I think it was like after a match versus Scarlet or someone where it just went so bad for him against Swarm Hosts. He said he wouldn't do it again, but I still would like to see it.
We'll see. Well, this one Mighty Reaper is making his way across the map. A second Reaper is on the production tab as well. I believe viOLet went spawning pool before hatchery again. Yep. So viOLet is playing this very cautious. He's very safe, opening up a few slow Zerglings over here. Those slow Zerglings will say hello to this Reaper and of course will most likely fall. I guess all of them will get picked off, but there is a Queen at least to high-five that Reaper and be annoying.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little lip on the right side of the main base for
Reapers.
viOLet where the Reaper can escape, but yeah, 3 Reapers. He opened up his barracks at 11 supply, so 3 Reapers is pretty standard. He's most likely going to get 3 command centers as well behind all of this. And there's some cool builds that you can do out of this. There's still options to go for even 2 factory-based plays, or you can just go super standard again. QXC still has, yeah, I'd say lots of options. Has he scouted that there's no gas yet? He's about to.
Yeah, he's going to see that right now. With as soon as these Reapers join up, where's the second Reaper over here? He might be able to pick off one of these drones. He starts dancing on the screen. I would love to see him try to pick off a drone. I think it would have been possible, perhaps. Unless viOLet is on the money with everything. Somehow, slow Zerglings did make their way across the map. I have no idea how those guys sneak by. But there is one more final gatekeeper. This Reaper is the bouncer. Gonna pick off these slow Zerglings, and I don't think that QXC lost anything. Nope, not a single SCV has fallen. And then we do see that third command center go down as well, and the place where we expect it to be.
The power of the third Reaper to defend at home while the other 2 attack. viOLet's going to plant these creep tumors, getting his first spread going from his natural expansion. I'm mostly interested to see what QXC does when this factory is complete. He's lifted it up. He's getting ready to put it onto that reactor. But, you know, he's got about 100 gas to work with. Is he going to go straight for stim?
I think it's just going to be pretty standard from this point on for QXC, but maybe 6 Hellions. I don't think he's going to go with the Banshee this game. I'm not expecting that. Most likely he's going to prioritize just a lot of Marines early on and just try to get into the real phase in the game where timings don't exist anymore and it all just comes down to engagements and micro.
Yeah, so when I look at the setup that viOLet has, this can still be turned into a very standard like Zergling, upgraded, get a lair to reasonable timing, because he didn't open with the gas. but still not having that third base yet. He's going to start up his lair. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm wondering if we're going to see Roach upgrades and maybe a Roach Warren. Still super popular build to go for the 1-1 Roach timing, and especially versus any bio-based opener, it is extremely difficult to stop.
Well, we do see the Roach one on production tab, but it's also something that more and more Zerg players have been doing lately, just like fully prioritizing, saturating on 2 bases, delaying the gas a little bit, and then just taking that third base a little bit later. Because it doesn't really matter if you take it early on, but then you either can't defend it or you can't mine from it for a while. In the long run, you actually it's less effective than it would be if you just saturate 2 bases properly and then take your third base just a little bit later. But we do see both Roach upgrades go down immediately in the natural. I feel that QXC has had a pretty good scout off. He saw the Roach one, he saw both Evo Chambers, and he even hopped into the main base with this Reaper that somehow still survived all of that as well. So I feel that this shouldn't surprise QXC.
No. I mean, his one barracks that he has right now is now stringing out Marauders, which is a very smart upgrade decision. You know, building Marauders this early on slows down your build a little bit when you want to get your 4th and 5th barracks up, but you know, guarantees him a nice little safety blanket when the Roaches come. If you have 4 or 5 of them with that bunker, even with Roach speed in 1-1, it's very difficult to break that position. But now his upgrades begin. He sees how late this third base is. Really, this is with those 3 Overlords on the way. I mean, you can almost expect to see the Roach production begin any moment now. 4 initially. He's already got. Yeah,
do you think he's going to go absolutely all out on it? I feel that it's too obvious right now for viOLet to make a massive Roach commitment. Well, we do see 9 Roaches, but I don't know.
So when you do this build versus Terran, right? Like if you're a Terran player and you have like full map vision like we do right now, for example, if you know that an attack like this is coming, you could do something like build siege tanks if you overreact. But if QXC does what he's doing right now and just continues to play standard with a little bit of defense, this, if you don't take damage from the Roach attack, puts you way ahead because you have your medevacs at a good time, you have solid upgrades, and then once you get closer to like 140, 160 supply, Roach-based armies just evaporate against bio.
Okay, so this is pretty much what is going to be it for viOLet. It's going to be 20 Roaches that will make their way across the map as soon as speed is ready. They're moving out right now, and from this point on, he's going to try to saturate. I would love for QXC to see these units swing from the left side and then maybe try to do something over here. There are still Queens that are going to protect this base. All of these Roaches, they can also try to go via these rocks, and they're actually heading into that direction. That is interesting. There's a Hydralisk then behind this. This is a really interesting playstyle by viOLet.
I actually think, you know, you mentioned those rocks. viOLet could probably force a lift up of the natural, might even kill. Like if QXC chooses to engage here without his bunkers.
He sees it right now.
Yeah, if QXC fights here without his bunkers, I think he might actually just lose. This is a really scary. This is a really great way to use the map. Yeah, he's forced everything back. I'm sure he can force a lift off of this command center if he gets on the right angle of it. He's going to at least kill the refinery. But the bunkers being on the other side, he's kind of stuck. He can't fight this yet. He's got a tank about to complete, and that should buy him some time. But this command center's taking a beating.
Oh, it's going to... Whoa, that's so extremely close.
Yeah, that's definitely tough. And it is burning. Now, he's actually just going to come up here and try to chew up these forces as he can get there. The Hellions and Reapers ran into the third base, and they got themselves a couple of drones, but replacing these drones won't be too difficult. This is, oh man, what viOLet is actually doing is so brilliant. By not choosing to commit these Hydralisks on the way, he just does what he goes with 2-2 and then actually commits, like Roach Hydra 2-2 attack, because QXC hasn't been able to really plant and secure the third base. He hasn't landed there, but he can attack into where this third base is, maybe like a minute or two, and just, it's probably one of the most difficult things to stop past the 1-1 timing.
viOLet has only lost 3 Roaches in that entire process. Really smart decision by viOLet to go via these backdoor rocks. QXC not being ready for it, not having a bunker in place, and just losing a lot of mining time, everything being slowed down quite a bit. These speed Roaches are going to try to make something happen over here right now on the left top. viOLet has to be a little bit careful though, because he still can't fight Stimmed Marines and Marauders with just this Roach hit squad.
Now, maybe grab an SCV or 2,
yeah.
And he's trying to keep the option open and just run away.
He doesn't have Burrow, he's going to lose these 5 Roaches for almost nothing.
Yeah, he'd rather just focus down the workers and try to delay, at least delay as much as he can. 10 Hydralisks on the way, Burrow, Roach Burrow movement is being researched. All the all the pieces are in place for viOLet to hit an incredibly powerful timing behind all of this, and even getting the infestation pit as an insurance policy.
Yeah, I think this is just for a Hive almost immediately.
Yeah, he can rush straight to Roach Hydra Viper with just a couple blinding clouds on those tanks, and then the Hydralisks, man, they destroy the bio like that.
Yeah, 'cause I think viOLet was hoping for that he didn't have to worry about those tanks, so he was just able to overrun his opponent with roaches and hydras. But as soon as he poked forward here with those roaches, and he saw 2-3 tanks starting to shoot at it, he immediately realized, like, okay, well, this is not going to cut it. These roaches are going to regenerate so quick. It's so insane how quick they regen.
And since he broke those rocks, he can just go straight on in.
Oh my God.
What's
Look
there
at
to
that
defend?
regen, Nate. Look at it.
There's not even a single missile turret.
That was a red roach.
Yeah.
And it's green
Dude,
now.
in beta, I remember when they used to have even more. You couldn't kill a burrowed roach with even a banshee and a few marines.
They have like 4 immortals shooting at the roaches. They still don't die. These burrowed roaches are going to be extremely effective. This is the second time today that viOLet is going to be an absolute pain in the ass for his opponent with these burrowed roaches and just using them very well. This is also frustrating because from this point on, you're pretty much always putting yourself vulnerable at least some location. Now QXC is not probably paying attention to this while he is in the last moment, but he can't do anything with that hit squad. Now there are just burrowed roaches all over his base. viOLet is doing this really well.
Yeah, this is really annoying having to burn out the scans. One of the roaches, okay, actually none of them have escaped the scan yet. Is he? Okay, I guess the scan timer ran out, so there's still a couple roaches spread out. Just 2 now. One lone survivor on the left. Might even, that's not within scan range. And here comes the big attack inside of the natural expansion. All these Hydralisks, just the damage output is so fast. This command center is as good as dead.
Yeah, this command center is going to fall pretty much immediately. viOLet doesn't even have to move forward anymore, but he is going to because most of those tanks are on siege. There are a lot of supply depots over here for free as well. And QXC is already supply blocked. One or two tanks are going to siege up on the high ground. viOLet has no vision of those tanks, so those tanks can actually deal a lot of damage. But even if QXC survives over here, he's taking so much damage.
Yeah, these Hydras destroy everything, and viOLet once again evening up a series 1-1 here at WCS America Premier League. QXC, you know, that's one of those builds that as a Terran player, I tell you myself, that is one of the builds you hate playing versus the most. That 1-1 Roach opening is so safe versus any aggression with Hellions, especially good if you were to try to use the new patch and go Hellbats. You've got Roaches already there to defend, and then the follow-up push with Hydralisks, potentially Vipers, is so difficult to stop. That's a really great way to use the map as well. Like those back rocks, normally like, okay, I got some bunkers, I should be able to defend, right? No. Lose most of the health on your command center and half your SCVs.
Yeah, super smart by viOLet. I was a little bit worried about viOLet's chances in that game when I just saw all those roaches. I just don't think it's going to be that effective. QXC was really on the money when it came to scouting. He was on top of it, he saw it, he knew what to expect, it had bugs in the right place. And then suddenly he's like, you can go via the back door, you can take down the debris. And that's exactly what he did. And then not even just like sending in those roaches, you know, still trying to be stubborn and trying to break. He's like, no, as long as I lift up, as long as I'm buying so much time for my own Hydras on the other side of the map, as long as I'm saturating 3 bases while you're struggling trying to secure 2 right now, I'm doing fine. And in the end, of the 20 roaches that he sent, 17 made it back. And he did so much damage for just the cost of 3 roaches. That was really well done.
Yeah, that really could not have gone better. You said it, 3 roaches lost for all of the damage that he did there. Our final deciding map for this series will be Frost. As I think for Terran versus Zerg, if you get cross positions, QXC is going to not be liking it too much. If viOLet wants to get aggressive with roaches, there's a reasonable bit of space by that 3rd base. But, you know, anything could happen still. QXC, what is he going to do? Will viOLet stay as aggressive or will he go back to that Ling Bane Mutalisk style?
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about QXC, but of course for viOLet, this is a really important game as well because we said QXC, he hasn't really had his mark on WCS. I think the same can be said for viOLet. When WCS America was announced, when you looked at the players for Season 1 and even Season 2, you thought like, hey, this is a competition where viOLet is probably going to do very well because this was not much after, you know, the times that viOLet did so well and all those MLGs and even in the IPL, all the stacked tournaments, some of the most stacked tournaments that we've ever seen. But in the end, it didn't work out for viOLet. He had a little bit of visa issues. We're going to have to, seems like we're going to have to rehost this game second time in this series. But Season 1 and Season 2 of 2013, he made it to the round of 16, but he wasn't able to come to America. Then Season 3, he wasn't allowed to play. Season 1 early this year, he lost in the qualifiers, or in Challenger League, Challenger, I should say, against Top. So this would actually be the first time that viOLet is really going to make it to the round of 16 and actually will be here offline because of course he's going to be able to make the trip from Atlanta to California. At least we hope so.
Much easier once you're already in the country for sure.
Yeah.
And this, you know,
border control is surprisingly nice if you're already in the country. It's just like the first time getting into the country, that can be a little harsh, but once you're part, they embrace you with open arms, Nate.
Yeah, we love our foreigners.
Smiles and hellos.
We love our visitors that play by the rules for sure. So Frost on this map, I was kind of expecting QXC to bust out a little bit of Mac. I almost feel a little let down so far.
If I expected it on one map, it would have probably been merry-go-round, because that's just the map where we see it most.
Yeah.
And with the spawning location they had, I felt it would have been okay. And, you know, despite QXC winning that game, and I think he played really good, don't get me wrong, there were also a couple of questionable engagements and fights, which I feel in a more even game, he can't afford to make fights like that. So I think it's going to be a little difficult. Now that last game, of course, we can't look too much into that either, because that was just such a unique game. I think this is much more going to be a real straight-up Mudaling Bane game from viOLet against just Marines, Marauders, Medevacs, and maybe a few Widowmites / Hellbats, whatever in the mix.
Yeah.
And we'll see. It's all going to come down to, I think, execution and engagement.
Yeah, late game TVZ on this map with how outreached and outstretched those expansions go can be a real nightmare for Terran players. So this might be the best map to try to do something aggressive. Although I feel like I keep saying that, but a lot of these maps have cool things that you can take advantage of in the early game especially. But we're loaded in, guys. It's time to find out who is going to go to the round of 16, who will have to fall to the consolation, the final match of the night here at WCS America.
It's the third series of the day, and all three series have gone to the final game. Over here on the right top side of the map, we have our Korean / American Zerg player, as he loves to be called American. It's of course viOLet.
Yes, yes, sir. Really good. You know, kicking off the comebacks on King Sejong Station. His opponent in the bottom right position, the blue Terran player, playing for Complexity. He, born and raised American. It is QXC.
Where does QXC live in the US?
He's from Pittsburgh, a wonderful state of Pennsylvania.
Close to you.
Yeah, well, a couple hours west.
Q.
Pittsburgh's a cool place. Only been there a couple times, but it's nice.
I've never been there, but I do know they have the Penguins.
They do have the Penguins. Penguins, the Steelers, lots of great things.
Either way, of course, QXC in the right bottom side and dropping their Rex right now, so...
Yeah,
okay,
it's another 11
refinder.
supply barracks. I guess this is probably going to be the same setup that he went for on the last map. He's just going to try to do it better. I guess QXC really isn't the kind of player to say, that didn't work, let me try something else. He's like, no, I'm going to do it better the next game and win, not really needing to do anything crazy.
See, we'll see. viOLet has been opening very safe so far in this series, but I think this time is going to be the first time we'll see him go hatch first, actually. Maybe because it's a 4-player map.
Yeah, it doesn't want to take any chances on the 2-player maps, but on this one, like the Reaper, there's not even too much space for it to abuse, and this is also one of the more likely maps that you'd see a command center first out on, so you wouldn't even have to worry about it. Of course, we know that QXC is opening up with a Reaper, but still, SCV will actually go out to scout as well, so he should find viOLet relatively quickly.
Yep, Drone has been pretty unfortunate so far in his scouting adventure, but this Overlord is going to see the Rex on top of the ramp. That's about it. Big game for both players. I'm really interested to see who's going to win it. Of course, the losers match will be after this, which is going to be between Oz and Park, and the winner of that series will move on to play against either viOLet or QXC.
Yep, and that should be a really cool series to look at as well.
I'm interested in it.
Yeah, all the games so far today have been really, really good. I guess you kind of mentioned it first with how we've been going to this this final map and all of them. This time around, viOLet has opened up with a gas alongside his pool, so there's the potential for some hot speedling action as these hatcheries complete, get the queens on the way.
QXC should be able to scout it easily though with his Reaper. Second Reaper is on the way. First Reaper is going to jump into the main base right now. Start working. He might even be able to get a drone if he gets lucky, or maybe viOLet slips up a little bit. It can be frustrating trying to save your drones all the time. Especially when, I love what QXC is doing right now. He's just like softening up 3 or 4 drones at the same time. So it's a little harder for viOLet. It's not just one drone and then morph it into a spore and then the next one. He has to keep his eyes very wide open, has to be very alert.
Yeah, one of the nicest things about Reaper openings is that whatever excuse you can make to not open Reapers, when you do this drone harass, you do this Zergling harass, you force the Zerg player to do as much or more unit control than you. So it really taxes their multitasking as well. And if you're QXC, if you can get all your production set up behind your Reaper harass, then what you're really doing is just making life harder for the Zerg player. But I'm waiting to see if he goes for that third command center. I think he will with this setup.
Might be America, but there's no freedom for the Zerg right now.
No. None allowed. Freedom for us. As this Queen's trying to shoo away the Reapers. You know, just two can actually contest this quite well. Third command center is on the way behind all this, and I mean, Zergling speed isn't really close enough to contest these Reapers just yet. It might actually kill this Queen. Quite low.
Yeah, it's getting close. It's going to be hard for viOLet to secure 3 bases, but once again, he's probably not too stressed out about it. Just saturate 2 bases. I wonder if we're going to see like a bigger swell of Zerglings than we would normally see. viOLet is definitely the type of player that has some funky timings with a bunch of speed links. We see 8 links on the production app right now, but we'll see what happens after this.
And both these Queens getting pretty low too.
I can see him either trying to get a surround or like put links in a sneaky position. 18 links right now. I feel that's already 20 links even. I feel it's already a number where he's either going to try to surround the Hellions or run into the natural the moments the Hellions are making their way across the map. This actually has viOLet written all over it.
Yeah, the only nice thing that would be for QXC is this Reaper sees the Zerglings, and he might not be able to get all of the Reapers back home, but if he can start up a second supply depot and get those Hellions behind them, like he's got 2 about to complete. No. Worst comes to worst, he loses everything and walls off. Then the Zerglings don't kill him. As they are running all the way back towards that natural. The depot's lowered. QXC invites the Zerglings in for dinner, and they eat up 1-2 of these Hellions almost. This Reaper, nice little choke point to hide behind, but QXC, he's potentially underestimated the amount of damage this attack could do, and he's been forced back quite heavily by these Zerglings, losing all of his Hellions.
We're losing all of the Hellions, losing 2 out of the 3 Reapers as well. Right now, just almost having nothing to shoot. He's just going to tap out. GG. QXC leaving the depot lowered, despite scouting it, despite being aware of it. Well, that was a little anticlimactic.
Yeah, I mean, I only feel just a little bit underwhelmed by the way that game ended because he did see the Zerglings coming. Potentially, he saw, maybe it was like he only saw the first 10 or so, and he thought, okay, this is something that if I let him in, I can guarantee kills on the Zerglings. Like, I can see why, if he only saw half of them, he would let them in so that he couldn't run around and use them later for other harass. But, I mean, we saw viOLet had way too many for that number to fight, and just didn't work out for QXC. Probably not the game that he was looking for, but you know what? This was the winner's match, so he still got another chance here in the final match. He's going to play against the winner between Oz and Puck.
Do you think he really had to tap out there? Obviously, this was a very unfortunate start, and there was a lot of unnecessary damage, but it's still a reasonable investment for viOLet as well to make all those links, and he did have 3 command centers.
I think the biggest problem with all of that is not only did he lose all of his like a lot of SCVs, but the map control. So he makes Zerglings. You can't take a 3rd base. He can't rebuild those Hellions if he wants to add on additional barracks. So he's almost forced into like kind of going mechish because he needs to keep building Hellions to establish, you know, to be able to ever get out of his base because Stim will take forever to research. He has to add on his barracks and then the reactors. It's just too slow. I can see why QXC would have thought that he was out. Could have tried, but any follow-up attack from viOLet at that point probably would have been able to break him.
Either way, that means that we're getting ready for some PvP action between Puck and Oz. A lot to talk about, but first we're going to have a very small commercial break. But once again, guys, if you're enjoying the series, if you're enjoying the games today in WCS America on Memorial Day, let us know. Hashtag WCS at Twitter. Reach out to us. We love hearing from you guys. We love hearing what you think about the show. But for now, small break, and we'll be right back.